of Kenyans, Koech and Kemboi. More about them a little bit later. Ruben Ramalefi as well. And Ruben Kosgei, 1.631 there, along with Luke Gunn, Stuart Stokes and Adam Bowden for England. Well, Kenya have won 7 of the last 8 Commonwealth titles. 1.359 is Stuart Stokes. He finished 4th at the 2002 Commonwealth Games. Adam Bowden, just 1.321 there from Harrow, twice the 3A's under-23 steeplechase champion. But certainly the Kenyans expected to dominate, although quite like the look of Youssef Abdi, the Australian, formerly of Algeria. He'd be wearing 1019. 1.631. Ruben Kosgei, 2000 Olympic champion and a world champion a year later. Just inside him is one of the young South Africans, Nkabela. And there are the two Kenyans together. The shorter of the two there, 1.635, Ezekiel Kemboi, the reigning Olympic champion. And then the lesser known of the trio, I guess you have to say, but he is the Kenyan and Commonwealth Games winner of the trials in Kenya, Wesley Kiprotich. So don't be surprised if we see a Kenyan procession yet again. The final of the men's 3,000 metre steeplechase gets underway, and almost predictably a couple of Kenyans straight to the front. Brendan.
Well, we've been watching the Kenyan domination so far this week in the long distance races, and the interesting thing is, for the first time for a few years, they've actually come to these races with a plan. I was impressed with the way they've been lining up. I was speaking to the great Kip Kaino last night, who's the chairman of the Kenyan Olympic Committee, and he says the major athletes in Kenya decided they didn't want to come to the Commonwealth Games, but I persuaded a few of the good ones to come. He said, so what, he sent a young team, and that young team is doing exceptionally well, and that young team happens to include 2 Olympic champions in this particular event. And we just saw a single man, Asava Powell, the fastest man in the world, dominate that relay by the way he ran a fantastic leg in the last leg of the relay. We're actually talking about a country which dominates this event more than any country dominates any other event in track and field. The last 8 runnings where they've attended the Olympic Games, they've won all 8 of them. The last 8 runnings of the World Championships has been won by a Kenyan-born athlete. And the last 7 runnings when they've attended the Commonwealth Games have been won by Kenyans. So we wouldn't be surprised to see a Kenyan domination of this event that we fully expected. But it's an amazing statistic when you think all of those events are being won by Kenyan-born athletes. They've won at 1,500 metres and at 5,000 metres and 10,000 metres. But nothing suits the Kenyan spirit and the Kenyan style like the event where they change the pace, they jump over those barriers, and they go through that water jump so impressively. And there is now a tradition in this event, and these are class athletes. The leader, number 1631, the 2000 Olympic champion, Ruben Kosgei, and just behind him, the reigning Olympic champion, Ezekiel Kemboi, and the two of them running to a plan, running together. The team management have been impressive here, and this is an impressive start.
Well, just looking back to that last water jump, Kevin Shepherd it was of Scotland who fell. We'll try and give you an update on that. But at the moment it is a procession of Kenyans, and the South African Nkabela there just on the inside. Just have a look for Kevin Shepherd. Oh, the shot Farnham District really came crashing down. I'm not sure that was the Scot actually. I think it was Abdi, the former Algerian, but we still have this Kenyan procession. The Canadian in 4th place at the moment, Ruben Kosgei, Kemboi and Kiprotich, 1, 2 and 3.
Well, last time the water jump, we thought there was a problem, but here there certainly is a problem. There's an athlete just limping off the side of the track. I think that's Kevin Shepherd of Scotland, number 1973, Kevin Shepherd of Scotland, limped out of that water jump and really has got to take no further part in this event. Well, that's a bit of a disappointment for Scotland, who've had a really good Commonwealth Games, and they've been impressive at the track as well. But that's a setback for the Scottish athlete, who hit the water jump in a pretty bad way there. The first 1,000 metres, 2 minutes and 48 seconds. That's good solid pace, but I expect this to be lifted in the next few laps. Wesley Kiprotich takes over. The tall figure, the athlete who won the Kenyan Commonwealth Games trials. So he's been selected on merit, and he's certainly not overawed by this occasion, but he's doing his bit. They've shared the lead, they've shared the pace, but it's not excessive at the moment.
Well, I'm not sure they're running as a team, because each of them, of course, wants to win this title. And just coming through into the lead, Wesley Kiprotich, as I was saying in the introduction, the least known of the three. A little bit of a bump there by Kemboy, who decides to push on. So Kemboy coming through. They've got 4 laps to go. In second place, Ruben Kosgei, and then Kiprotich. Kiprotich, they're certainly the taller, and now the Kenyans beginning to stretch away, and you just wonder, Brendan, whether the pace will increase as well.
Well, that sudden injection of pace there, the whole field was together, and then suddenly an injection of pace really has done the damage. Number 1635, Kemboy, decided he didn't want any more company. He really just wanted to be in amongst them, and then suddenly the 3 athletes have pulled away. The 3 English athletes in this field running strongly there still: Adam Bowden, Luke Gunn and Stuart Stokes. But the 1, 2, 3 already looks as though it's decided. We don't know the order. They'll run as a team and then they'll compete. We've often seen that, but it sometimes doesn't happen till the last lap. But once again, sharing the pace, doing a little bit of the work each, doing exactly what they're expected to do. The 2 Olympic champions are rarely going to see that on this track in Melbourne. We've got a great crowd here, and they're witnessing some real talent, and they're just glancing over their shoulder, just checking what's happening behind them. And the rules will be share the pace, get clear of the field, and then with a lap to go, it's anybody's race, and you can race it out.
And how many times have we seen that before? It certainly won't be the first time there's been a clean sweep in the Commonwealth Games steeplechase, and I'm sure it won't be the last. But a massive cheer in the background for the Australian, who's trying to close the gap, but at the moment it is still Kosgei in the lead, the 2 Olympic champions. They keep swapping pace, and it's Wesley Kiprotich. I wonder how Wesley Kiprotich feels in terms of times. He's run a full 5 or 6 seconds slower than either of the 2 men out in front, so he is perhaps the one who's got to work harder than anybody else.
These 3 athletes running well within their compass. We'll see them in the summer. They'll be running an awful lot faster on the tracks of Europe, but here we are, early season for these athletes. They've slipped out of the training camp in Kenya, which is geared up for the World Cross-Country Championships in a week's time, and they've come down here, 2 laps to go. They're showing their skill, they're showing their ability, and they're showing that they're power apart from the rest. The Australian athlete running strongly in 4th place, getting a little bit closer, running well and being rode on by this impressive crowd here in the MCG. But the 2 experienced athletes, the 2 athletes who've already stood on the rostrum in the Olympic Games to receive the gold medal, working together now. Kiprotich, the less experienced, going through a bad patch, so we might see a race on here. But into the water jump for the penultimate time. Now where's the race going to start? Who wants to be the Commonwealth champion the most? Over the barrier. The first 2 athletes touched it. The last athlete there in that group just went over it, but the Australian now is paying the price for trying to close that gap. But he's clear in 4th place. Kiprotich of Kenya in 3rd place is struggling now, and the Australians coming close to him.
Ezekiel Kemboy it is who's going to take them through the bell, followed by Ruben Kosgei. The 2 Olympic champions are away, and Wesley Kiprotich in 3rd place. It's Martin Dent, the Australian, who's up there, and just behind him in 5th place is the man who finished in 4th place in the Commonwealth Games 4 years ago, Stuart Stokes. But these 3 Kenyans are getting away.
Down the back straight, the gaps are being opened, but Kiprotich is suddenly accelerating, closing down on his more illustrious compatriots. The leader, looking over his shoulder, Ezekiel Kemboy, coming into the last water jump. He's under a bit of pressure, but young Kiprotich is running well. He's just passed Kosgei, and he's really accelerating now. This is going to be very exciting.
So about 100 meters to go for the leader. No doubt about who's going to win this one. Kenya are coming away. Absolutely superb there by Ezekiel Kemboy. And the chase is really on for the silver medal, and it is the least experienced of all. Wesley Kiprotich ahead of Ruben Kosgei. Kenya 1-2-3, 8:18.17. Martin Dent it is who's going to finish in 4th place, and then England through Stuart Stokes. Good performance by Stokes in 2 consecutive Commonwealth Games steeplechase finals. Well, and there's another England competitor just finishing there. It was Luke Gunn, I think. But what a performance by these three men. And certainly, I think Wesley Kiprotich can be absolutely delighted with his run. He was always going to be up against it with Koskai and Kemboy. And 1-3-3-5, in fact, that is Luke Gunn who's finishing, looking absolutely exhausted outside of 9 minutes. But a massive cheer for this man from Papua New Guinea. 9:25 is his national record. Sapalai Yao, 9:28 in actual fact. Now, can he do it? 9:23.24, he's not going to do it, but he's getting an enormous cheer here. Oh, he's only just a little bit taller than those barriers. He's found it very hard, so a little bit of sympathy perhaps, but also some admiration as well. Well, I'm sure we'll have a look back at this one or two times, but 1.617 on the left-hand side. Wesley Kiprotich, certainly distinctive in terms, he's very much taller than the other two guys, Ruben Koskai and Ezekiel Kemboy. Marvellous run, though, by the three Kenyans.
Here we are, the athlete who we just cheered over the line, the athlete from Papua New Guinea, Yao, who ran a really good race for his own ability, to be perfectly honest, and this crowd at the MCT really were appreciative of that. But look at the finishing straight between the Kenyans. The team race was in the early part of the race, and now it's every man for himself. Ezekiel Kemboy, the Olympic champion, now crossing the line to become the Commonwealth champion. 8 times out of the last 8 runnings, we've seen a Kenyan athlete in the red vest crossing the line. Kiprotich, the young man, in second place, and the 2000 Olympic champion Koskai in third place. So that's what we expected, that's what happened, but let's face it, they did some impressive running en route.
They certainly are very dominant, aren't they? Ezekiel Kemboy there winning the Commonwealth title ahead of Kiprotich, and Ruben Koskai in third place. Stuart Stokes there down in 5th place. He finished 4th 4 years ago. And looking further down, it was Adam Bowden who finished in 9th and Luke Gunn in 12th place. Unfortunately, Kevin Shepherd fell early doors, so he didn't finish the race for Scotland.